Enjoy an elevated experience with your Flow Home Internet and mobile combined.
Giving you the best rate for great savings.
With 120 gigs of double data for anything.
And unlimited talk.
On 4 mobile lines.
Simply combine your Flow Home Internet and mobile for the best rate and value. Unlock double data and unlimited talk on 4 mobile lines to go with home internet speeds up to 35 megabits per second. Visit a Flow store to sign up today. Conditions apply.
Vitamin C.
Halib Orange Effervescent.
Halib Orange.
Halib Orange by 7 Seas is the best tasting way to get your daily dose of vitamin C. Get it in delicious orange, lemon, and sugar-free blackcurrant. Each effervescent tablet provides 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C. That's equivalent to 12 oranges. Fight colds and flu. Take Halib Orange by 7 Seas today.
Halib Orange. Vitamin C.
It's the tastier way to boost your immunity.
TDC Financial Services. We're here for you to help you make your dreams come true. Whether your needs are big or small, we'll support you with them all. TDC Financial Services. We are strong. TDC Financial Services. This is where you belong.
TDC Financial Services, where money is made easy.
Good morning, St. Kitts and Nevis, and welcome to Voices right here on WinFM 98.9. It's a beautiful Wednesday. It's Wednesday, July 6, 2022, and you are tuned into Voices. I'm your host for today, Devon Cornelius. Thank you so much for joining me on the program today. Good morning to those of you who have joined us on the social media side. those on Facebook and YouTube and the other social media platforms. Of course, those of you in Radioland, thank you so much for joining today's edition of Voices. We're going to have this program right up on until 12. And then when we come back for the second hour, we're going to have Mr. Azad Gums of the People's Action Movement. He's the deputy chairman of the People's Action Movement. But I want to have a good conversation with you guys for the first hour. The phone lines are open at 662-2204, 662-2204. We're having some technical difficulties with our 466 number. So you can call us at 662-2204. But I want to have a conversation with you on whatever topic you want to discuss. Well, there are a number of things happening right now. Of course, the politics is dominating the issues right now, or the conversation that most people are having, whether it be at home, on the street, in the bars, the airwaves. This is what everybody is talking about, because this is the election season and people want to know, when is the election? Everybody who you talk to have been calling on the Prime Minister to announce the election date. So I think that, among other things, that is the big topic right now. Many people are anxiously waiting. They are anxiously waiting for that date. They want to know when is the election so that they can go and cast their vote. I think there are just some people who, they want to know. And some of these people may not even vote in the next election, but they just want to know. I think there's a lot of built up or pent up energy right now where, everybody is in campaign mode, and there is this kind of tension going on right now between the different supporters. And you find that a lot of the tension is not necessarily between the candidates, because most of these candidates and most of these people who are vying for office, they're friends, and they get along very well. Is usually the supporters of the different parties who always have some kind of confusion going on and trying to get personal with each other whenever they have a different view or a different opinion. But there's a lot going on right now in the political arena. The climate is really, really hot, and the issues are being talked about every day. When we went on the street last week, Monday, we spoke with a number of people throughout the streets of Bastia from the different political parties here on St. Kitts, the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party, People's Labour Party, People's Action Movement. And everybody, they gave their take on how they feel about the election. Everybody was confident that they were going to win. The Labour supporters were confident that Labour would form the government. The People's Action Movement, they were confident. The People's Labour Party, they were confident. We have our first call for this morning, so let's head to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. You are on the air.
I just change a part of the politics, When you feel like you calling the leader top dog.
Sorry, I didn't hear that question. Could you repeat it?
When you speak, you're calling the leader top dog.
How do I feel? You said I'm calling the leader top dog?
Yeah.
I never call the leader top dog.
Yeah, supporters, they elected people when they calling him top dog.
Oh, you meant the supporters?
Mm.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, they go ahead. Caller, turn on the radio. There's some feedback. Turn off the radio.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, my take on that is that they are entitled to their opinion. If they want to call him top dog or big dog or whatever, then that's up to them. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
I said that is their right. If they want to call him top dog or big dog or whatever, that is their view. That is their right to call him top dog. I can't tell them whether they should call him top dog or whatever.
And you see again now, this way you put the politics in this kind of situation. You know, when Dougie was running for the 20 years, they had on the bumper that Dougie is not prime minister to them. Dougie is not a 10-man in one to them. And Timothy come out of all of that energy there. I see that as a disrespect. That's all I got to say.
All right. Thank you so much, caller. Thank you so much for your contribution to this program. Well, you know, I mean, over the years, I mean, yes, when Douglas was prime minister, people would refer to him as the boss or the 10-man in one or whatever. You see, when I look at this thing, right, everybody would refer to their leader as whatever, what they're comfortable calling their leader. So it's not a case of where I'm saying that what they're doing now is wrong or right, or what happened then when Douglas was prime minister was wrong or right, when they were calling him the 10-man in one or the boss, because that's how they feel. If they felt that Douglas was the boss, then that's how they felt. They are the voters. They were the ones who put him in office. If they feel that Dr. Harris is the top dog, that is how they feel. I've never referred to Dr. Harris as the top dog. I've never referred to Dr. Douglas as the top dog. But what I've realized in this thing is that everybody's going to have their own opinion. And for me, I respect people's opinion. If the supporters of Dr. Harris want to refer to him as the top dog, that is their right. Of course, in an official setting, referring to him as the top dog is not necessarily the appropriate thing. But whenever they are on the campaign trail, whether it be Labour, PAM, or whoever, whenever they are on the campaign trail and they want to refer to him as top dog or the boss or whatever, then that's their right, because you're on the campaign trail. You refer to him because you're comfortable with that or making that reference. But in an official setting, I wouldn't necessarily do that or encourage that. But everybody is entitled to their opinion, and I respect people's opinion. We are all going to have different views on what's going on right now. And for me, I'm not going to try to, shut down people and how they feel about a particular issue. For me, I like when we can have these conversations and we can, be respectful to each other. And there's some people that would hold firm to their position, and for the most part they do have legitimate points, legitimate reasons as to why they would hold firm to their position on that. It is 18 minutes past the hour of 11 here in the studios of 1FM 98.9, and you are logged into Voices. I'm your host for today, Devon Cornelius. Thank you so much for joining the program. We are taking your calls at 662-0989. Sorry, 662-0989. The phone lines are open. But, listening to, or let me say that the campaign trail, and I said it a few weeks ago, I believe, that the campaign trail has been or is very interesting. Listening to the different parties or listening to different people across the country hear their views. Very interesting points that are being made. Let's head back to the phone lines. Caller, you are on the air. Good morning.
Good morning, Devon.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Not bad at all.
Devon, I'm glad that you invite topic of our choices. This is Journey here. I want to say good morning to all hearing my voice. Devon, I want to talk today about worship, more specifically to the Christian community. I'm sure, Devon, that you are aware that in the scripture it tells us that we must honor our father and mother so that our days will be long upon the earth, right?
Yes.
Now let us ask ourselves this question, Devon, in the sense or in the context that most of us have what we have in the King James Version Bible. And in all that they gave us, all the thou shalt not do, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not hate. Now let us look at the history of those who gave us what we have in the King James Version in all that I've just mentioned. And let us ask ourselves, Devon, how can a murderer, a thief, a genocider, centuries on end, treat us about God and love? And we believed it. Because, Devon, colonialism in itself has created a God, a mystical God that is in the sky that they told us that we must pray. Devon, ask yourself this question. If you were created in the image of God, when you look in your mirror, what do you see? Because all that we have is what King James Version given to us by the colonizers. And they told us that we must pray to a God in the sky and we must lay our treasures up in heaven while they have created their treasures here on earth. Those who murdered our parents were forefathers and mothers, and they come to liberate us to Christianity in their narrative. Let us be serious, Devon. Let us think logically here and analyze what is in the scriptures and see our reality are being played out from generation, from genocide, centuries on end, because it's still happening today. And we hate all of those who have fought for our liberation, because, brethren, believe it or not, we are the totality of all that exists in life. And African spirituality is life, life that is eternal. So how can those who have slaughtered our ancestors in the genocide centuries ago liberate us in Christianity, Devon? Let us think and analyze these things. Because if you are not asking yourself these questions, Devon, you are comfortable in the misery that we are going through today. And that's why the scripture says, my people perish for lack of knowledge. Devon, I am just a voice. And I was in the space that most of us are in today. I was brought up in the church. And Devon, I have always have questions. Because the fallacy that is in the book, and don't get me wrong, Devon, the principle that is in the book is for us to be governed by. I welcome it. But the narrative, and by those who have given us what we have in the King James Version, whether it's the Quran or whatever, it does not fit. My reality is in the book and it is in my present day. Because, Devon, I'm going to finish just now. If you are familiar with the woman who was Miriam, who spoke out against Moses when he married to the Ethiopian woman, after she spoke against the Ethiopian woman, she was shut up for 7 days, Devon, white as snow. Now, today we have those who are pushing white supremacy. Miriam became white when she spoke against the Ethiopian woman that Moses married to. White is a curse. When she became white, Aaron went and pleaded for her. And the Lord said to Aaron, had her parents spat in her face, she would not have been ashamed or something like that. Let her remain indoors until 7 days passed. Then her skin became back to what it was. So you see, Devon, we cannot just continue to accept. Now, I alone cannot change it. And the change is not going to come just now, because when they did what they did in 1884, it took them 4 months. And then they launched out against our continent. Devon, we need to know our story, our history. And I always say, to know your story, you have to know his story. Because it's a duality in everything. They have destroyed to create because they cannot create. That's why today, Devon, they are at war. And it's amazing how the Christian community does not realize that Satan is against Satan today. And it is inevitable that this war is going to spill over to other European countries because they are of war. That's their nature. And like they had us for 4,000 years in bondage, we have to arise and awaken, Devon.
All right.
Wake your thoughts to the higher consciousness Thank you for hearing me.
All right, caller, thank you so much for your contribution to this program. It's 25 minutes past the hour of 11. We'll take this short break to give a shout out to our sponsors, and when we come back, we will continue Voices right here on Win FM 98.9. Let's take this break, and we will be right back.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Buster, pour it up, need the thirst quencher in my cup. If you have one, hold it up and say, Buster for the colors in my life. Refreshing and nice, and I drink that what we like. Buster, you're full of vibes, living for the color. And I'm black and white, we do what we like. We live to enjoy life. Buster, pour it up, different flavor. Load it up, load it up. If you have one, hold it up and say, Buster for the colors in my life.
Yes?
Jean!
Body spray's hot, boy. I can't take it.
Well, it's a good thing I called. The TDC Home and Building Depots are having their Cool 'em Down sale with 20% discount on fans, AC units, coolers, fridges, and more to beat this heat, girl.
Girl, Betty, you're making joke.
No, so stop sweating and let's go to the store now.
Ooh, you come pick me up, because may want to miss the sale at TDC Home and Building Depot.
Yeah, man. And don't forget you can also shop online too, using shoptdcgroup.com.
Cool.
Terms and conditions apply. See stores for details.
Enjoy an elevated experience with your Flow Home Internet and mobile combined.
Giving you the best rate for great savings.
With 120 gigs of double data for anything.
And unlimited talk.
On 4 mobile lines.
Simply combine your Flow Home Internet and mobile for the best rate and value. Unlock double data and unlimited talk on 4 mobile lines to go with home internet speeds up to 35 megabits per second. Visit a Flow store to sign up today. Conditions apply.
The views and opinions expressed in this program were solely those of the participant or caller and do not reflect the views of WinFM 98.9. WinFM reserves the right to disconnect any caller who infringes the law or offends the right of any person. The station will also refuse to take any call from any person who in WinFM's considered opinion is likely to expose the station to liability for statements made on the air. Welcome back to Voices right here on WinFM 98.9. It's 11:27 and we are continuing the program for today. The phone lines are open. You can call us at 662-0989. That is 662-0989 and call us, be a part of the conversation for today. As I said earlier, when we started, is that there's a lot going on right now in St. Kitts and Nevis. Of course, the big topic, or what I think most people have been talking about, is the upcoming elections. We are still waiting for the date. But there's a lot I think there's a lot to expect. I think a lot of people are looking forward to this election, and people have been making some bold predictions as to what they think will happen. But it's the day of. Is the day of we really have to look at. The day of the election, the people will decide. The people will decide what they want, and we're going to have to accept, we should accept those results. But I think, the people will decide at the end of the day who they want to run the affairs of this country. But for me, I think the conversations or the predictions or whatever, I think, they're really interesting. The issues that people talk about, really interesting. You would have those who are focusing on issues like healthcare, education. Some are focusing on other issues, but listening to everybody and hearing their point for me is really important. Let's head back to the phone lines. We'll take some more calls. Caller, you are on the air. Good morning. Hello, caller. Good morning. You're on the air. Okay, I'm not hearing that caller. You can call us back. 662-0989. That is 662-0989. Please call us back to be part of the conversation. But listening to everybody in here, what they have to say. Now, I remember I think it was last week, sometime last week or the week before, I was sharing with you the code of conduct for the political process, where the non-governmental organizations, the Christian Council, the Evangelical Association, the Bar Association, the Chamber of Industry and Commerce, they shared with the political parties the code of conduct for the political process, where the parties and their supporters and their associates, guidelines that they should follow for the election. And when you really look at all that's going on and you listen to different people make their point, not necessarily the party where it is coming from, the candidates, but it is the ordinary citizen. We are the ones, I think, sometimes, breach certain rules that are set out in the code of conduct. Let me hold that thought. There's a caller on the line. Let's take this call. Okay, we seem to have lost that caller. And I wanted to bring up the issue of trying to find a point, but where it encouraged the candidates and even supporters to stick to the issues. Stick to the issues rather than personalities, rather than personal issues, rather than people's personal business. Let's head back to the phone lines. We have a caller. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, Devon, Journey here again. Now, let me come down to our local politics and what I've been hearing going out in social media. I want to focus on Prime Minister Mark Grantley's words that he used pertaining to our passport.
Prime Minister? You said the Prime Minister?
Sorry, the Premier,
okay.
Mark Grantley. When I heard Mark saying what he said pertaining to our passports, how they're being sold in Dubai, I was like, wow, listen to this. These kind of words, the words that they're choosing to, in my opinion, bring down our passports, saying that they're being sold. I don't even want to repeat it, Devon. I voted for unity because one thing that gravitates to me is when Prime Minister said, use words like, if I perish, I perish. And we all know where that came from at the time when he used those words. And, the Prime Minister himself is now referring to Sean Richards as Mumu Sean. I mean, are we not decent people here? Of course, right now, in the hype of all that is going on, we are hearing so many young voices, young ladies on their political platform at night on my way home from work and hearing them all revved up, and I was like, wow, listen to these young people. And while I would admit that it is nice that they're now having so many young people as candidates, there's a big question here, Devon. Big question. Because in my constituency, when I had Glenn Ghost Phillip as my representative, there was so much to be done, could have been done. And the word of mouth was like, okay, well, he was just there just to suit the time and to cut the vote. And we have seen what played out in constituency 4. And now that the recent representatives of 4 is putting out the same rhetoric, their hands are tied because the Minister of Finance is not, releasing funds. I mean, these are things that now that we have all these young people, how much can we get done now? Because it's a pattern. If you ask me, in my opinion, it's a pattern that has been played out. Like, okay, yes, it's great to have young people, but how much are they going to get done when they have a bigger boss as the one who says, I am the one with the experience, And this division that have been going around with our people, You know, a few people make me and ask me if anything that is happening with the politics here, if it concerns me. And you know what I've said to them, Devon? I bring out the scripture to them and I said, render unto Caesar the things that are Caesar, and unto God the things that are God. You know why? When they are supposed to be, I'm referring to the leaders, who's supposed to be the shepherd, to lead the flock to green pastures, they have become hirelings. And Devon, they're going to consume themselves. Believe it or not, they're going to consume themselves because they are greedy.
But if I could add here, when you spoke about, having more young people, or the fact that young people, young women are now involved in the active politics or the elective politics, for me, I love that, and I appreciate that, and that is something that I really want to see happen. Young people and women, being involved in that, but it is not necessarily just having them for having them sake. Where we have a woman participating in the election, we have young people participating in the election. What we need, Carla, is people who are serious,
right.
People who understand what their role is. There's some people that believe that if they're not in government, they can't make a change.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
All right. Now, let us go back to 2020. I think that was the time when we had, and I'm going to use my representative, who was the Glenn Ghost Phillips. Now, he was approached. He didn't up on himself to become a candidate. He was approached. Now, follow me closely, Devon.
Mm-hmm.
He was I think he was working at the cable at the time, and he was a sportsman in the sense that he played basketball, and he had a huge followers of people at that time who wanted to become basketball players. Now, looking at the candidates that we have today, do you see any of them using their own initiative and said, listen, I want to do something, or do you think there was approach also? Now, I'm just trying, you don't have to answer this question,
Yeah.
But you see, this is the pattern that has been played, because I can use Glenn Gosel because he is my representative. And then there were, on my project, there were some roadworks that has not even complete up until today, Devon. And then when we and the community ask questions as to why these things are not happening in that community, we get answers like, oh, his hands are tied. And these are the kind of things. So, yes, why I am for the young people, because they are the future. The question we need to ask, did they initiate themselves to become candidates? Did they see something that they wanted to see done in their community? Or were they approached, again, Devon? That's the point I'm trying to bring across.
All right.
I am for them, because they are the future.
Mm-hmm.
But these are hard questions that we need to ask. And you also said it. People who are serious.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I've said, I'm going to finish now, Devon.
Mm-hmm.
While the leader or the leaders who are supposed to lead the flock into greener pastures, they have become hireling. And I hope you know what this means when I'm saying they are hireling. Because they are greedy dogs, Devon. Make no mistake about it. It is being played out, and we are observing. Thank you for hearing me.
And thank you so much, Carla, for your contribution to this program. It is 11:39, and we are still taking your calls right here on WinFM 98.9. This is Voices. Thank you so much for joining me on the program today. The point that I was making was that before you become a minister of government, you're first elected as a member of the parliament, an elected representative, or as a parliamentary representative. And as a parliamentary representative, it is within your constitutional prerogative or your constitutional right to bring legislation before the parliament. There are some people that believe that, well, if they don't form part of the government, they can't do absolutely nothing for their constituents. And sometimes you find that when you become minister of this area or minister of that ministry, you find that these people, they focus so much on the ministry They forget that they are the member of parliament for X constituency or Y constituency. And at times you find that the constituency itself, the concerns, the issues that the people in that constituency face are ignored. And so you'll find that people are elected, whether it be on government or opposition side, and they don't understand the constitutional right that they have. They don't understand the constitutional right that they have. Now, it could be a situation of whereby things are really not as good as we may, perceive it to be, because we have never been there before. So we can sit here and say, well, it should be this, it should be that, because we've never been there before. But I take the position that we need serious people. We need people who really want to make a change. I'm not suggesting or saying that those that we have now are not. In terms of whether people were approached or whether, you just get up one day and say, well, I want to go into politics because I want to do something different. I don't know. You may have people who were approached. You may have people who got up one day and said, boy, I want to enter the politics because I want to make a change. But this whole politics thing it's an interesting conversation. There's some people that don't like to engage in the conversation. There's some that would just like to listen and listen to the different sides, listen to everybody to hear what they have to say. For me, it's an interesting conversation because there's so many subtopics within the topic that one can have, and where we can seek to educate ourselves. Every opportunity that I get, I would always encourage people to vote. I don't care who you vote for. I would always encourage people to participate in the election process, because I take the view that if you don't vote, you don't count. And we've seen that. We are seeing that happening right now, where there are some politicians or there are some MPs who they only focus on the people who put them in office. And so if they know that you were instrumental in them being elected, they're going to make sure that they focus on you because you were there, you showed up to the polls, and you participated in the process. For me, you got to be the change that you want to see. You have to be the change that you want to see. You have to be the change that you want to see. At times, people would, and that's absolutely fine. That is absolutely fine because people are entitled to their opinion, and sometimes people want to get personal with you when you share your view on something. But you want to see a change, you have to do what is right, what is necessary. You have to make an effort so that there can be some sort of change. Doesn't necessarily have to be in government. It could be a part of some community group or community organization that you're a part of. You want to see something done, you got to do it yourself sometimes. I find many a times we would stay on the sideline and would say, oh, this needs to be done, that needs to be done. But we would never lift a finger. We would never make an effort to say, or to do something rather. We never make an effort to do something. But people need to understand that, not just in this election, but in any election, we have to have people who really mean well. Some people would like to say that all politicians are the same. I don't think so, and I don't hold that view, because everybody have their different qualities or their different a different position why they enter politics, a different view, a different idea, a different vision that they want to see for their area, for their country, for their community. And when we paint all of them with the same brush and say all of them are bad and all of them are this, I don't think that we give all of them a fair chance to do something for their community. Because these people who are vying for office, they're people like us, Some of them, we know them. You went to school with them. Do you know them? Some people say, well, they get into politics and they change. And I take the view, I said it a few, I think it was over a month ago, could be less, where half the times when our representatives don't deliver is because of the demands that we make on them. And sometimes you find that people would hold these guys or these women hostage and say, well, I want this done, I want that done, I want this done. Mind you, they don't care how you get it done, you know. But they want it done. They want it done. I remember a conversation where, somebody was saying, you really can't wrong them because there are some politicians who would go to enrich themselves. And so, voters may feel like, well, I'm voting for you to enrich yourself, for you to be well off, well established, while I am here as the voter catching hell. So that is why you see people would try to make good for themselves. That is why people who vote would try to make good for themselves. People would often say that there needs to be a change and the politics needs to change and all of that needs to change. But you got to be a part of the change that you want to see. We often say that politics is dirty and people like to get personal. But when you look at it, very rare you see the people who are vying for office get personal with each other. It is always the supporters. It is always us, the people, who you may have a different view on something. And instead, you and that person, you have your conversation and you stand by your position. They stand by their position. You find that people get personal with you and tell you all kind of things. And we like these kind of things. We like these kind of things. We like when people talk about something that is totally irrelevant. But because, as we would say, it is melee, we like them kind of things there. It's 11:47. We'll take a short break to give a shout out to our sponsors. And when we come back, we'll continue Voices right here on Win FM 98.9. Let's take this break and we'll be right back.
Found the sound 98.9 Win FM. WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is Win FM.
Buying your medication is easy with City Drugstore's curbside pickup. WhatsApp our certified pharmacist at 662-8769 with your requests. For prescriptions, take a clear photograph and send for review. We will engage you in dialogue and then provide a quotation and link for payment. You can then pay via TDC's online payment portal. And once the transaction is complete, you'll be notified that your pickup is ready. Yes, it's that easy. Send your WhatsApp message to 662-8769 to order your medications today with City Drugstore's curbside pickup service.
Welcome back to Voices right here on WinFM 98.9. About 10 minutes left before we take a break at 12 for the headline news. And we come back in the second hour with the Deputy Chairman of the People's Action Movement, Mr. Azad Gums. Let me say thank you so much for joining us on the part of the conversation today. Those of you on the social media stream, those of you who have called, thank you so much for your contribution. We'll take a few more calls before we break at 12 at 662-0989. That is 662-0989. 662-0989. Thank you so much for your contribution. For those of you who are just joining the program, we're on the conversation of the current climate as it relates to the politics. I think the question that everybody is asking is when is the election date? When is the election? People want to know when is the election. People at home, people overseas. When is the election? When can we expect this announcement? I predict that, well, I shouldn't say predict because most people are saying that. But we know that very soon the announcement will be made. Because time is running out. Today is now the 6th day. Yeah, today is July the 6th. And so the time frame is, or the deadline, is the 8th of August. So we know very soon that we're going to hear an announcement from the Prime Minister as it relates to the election and nomination day. So it's just for the different political parties. It's just for us as a country to ready ourselves, prepare ourselves for this day because it is coming. It's not a case of it is not coming, it is coming. I had a conversation the other day with a gentleman on this 90-day window for the announcement or for the hosting of the elections, the general elections, where we know after the dissolution of Parliament, the Prime Minister, Premier, whoever, they have 90 days before, or they have a 90-day window to call the election. Within that 90-day window, the preparation from the electoral office, the preparation for the different political parties, essentially preparation, readying yourself for the election. In the past, we've seen where Parliament is dissolved and right after Parliament is dissolved, the election is announced. And so right away people know when they're going to go to the polls. Or if Parliament is dissolved this week, by next week you hear when is the election. This time around is different. The Parliament was dissolved on May 10th, and we should be hearing from the Prime Minister, as I say, soon because time is running out as to when the election date would be. And I had a conversation with the gentleman, and his point was that, well, there's a 90-day window, and so what the Prime Minister is doing now is not illegal. And he is right, because the 90-day window has not ended. The Prime Minister still has, I think, about 30 days or so. About 30 days, less than 30 days for the election. So as long as he is within that period, there is nothing legally wrong with the elections not being held now because he is still within that 90-day window. I think the issue now is that because people are so accustomed to whenever the Parliament is dissolved, they hear that the election is this date or that day. So they hear everything one time because they have not seen that this time why people have been asking questions and why people have been calling on the Prime Minister to announce the election date. So it's not necessarily a case of people trying to create confusion. That's my take on it. I don't think it is a case of where people are trying to create confusion or trying to stir anything. It's a case of the tradition where in the past, when the Parliament is dissolved, You hear one time, nomination day, election day, we go to the polls, we get it over with. That is what we're accustomed to. That is what happened in the past. But we know that there is a 90-day window to have an election. You can't go over that period. And that period would end August 8th. People say there needs to be an election. No, we need to have the elections. No, get this over with. And some disagree with that argument. I take the position that, yes, while we do have a 90-day window, calling the election and getting it over with is what I stand by. Because for me, for this election, it's a lot different to those that I've experienced in the past. I guess it's because I now work here at Win FM. As I tell you, last week I was on the street with my coworker, and we were talking with the different supporters. And people were passionate. People were really, really passionate. I'll use the word passionate. People were really, really passionate. Some of them, they got really, I don't even know if I'm using the right word here, but they were passionate. They were passionate. And everybody we spoke with, they basically, they wanted to know when is the election. And they took the view that it is about time that the election date be announced. We just go to the polls, we choose the new elected representatives, and we form the government. Because we are accustomed to this in the past, I think that is the reason why people have been calling for the election day, because this is the norm. This is how we've done it in the past. Maybe it's time for maybe it could be a time for a change, but calling the election, getting it over with, I like that, because I find that we're always in campaign mode. We're always in campaign mode. Maybe because we're having elections so fast in the Federation. Because while you have the National Assembly elections every 5 years, then you still have the Nevis Island Assembly elections that would come right after a general election for St. Kitts and Nevis, federally or nationally. But I do understand, and I think a lot of people understand, that there is a 90-day window to have an election, and we do know that we must have an election by August 8th. We understand that. So when you look at the clock and you look at the time frame, some people would predict and say, well, the election is going to be called around this time. But I take the view that, you call the election, you get it over with, because people are very passionate. When we were on the street on Monday, last week Monday, that is what everybody was calling for. That is what everybody was calling for. People were, I don't want to say it, but let's be real. People were angry. People were really, really, really angry. Some of us had a different view, but for the most part, people were angry. Based on my interaction with them, they were angry, and they just wanted to get this thing over with. We go back to normal. We focus on different issues. But the longer we wait for the announcement, the longer it takes for this announcement to be made. Of course, this is going to be the big topic until the election is over. My thing is, you dissolve the parliament, you make the announcement one time for the election date and the nomination day, you have the election, choose a new government, we go back to normal. Yes, there's a 90-day window. We understand that. The 90-day window perhaps is for the election officials, the observer mission, the political parties, all of them to ready themselves. You understand? But the mere fact that these people have been calling for the election, well, it suggests to me that they themselves are ready. Because it can't be. And I don't think anybody in the right mind going to be calling for an election if you ain't ready. I don't think anybody is going to be calling for an election if they're not ready for the election. If they don't have their workers in place, if they don't have their proper list management mechanism in place and all of that. So, the mere fact that people have been calling for the election, it suggests to me that they're ready for it. So give the people what they want. If they're ready for election, let's have the election. You know? But there's a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of emotions right now based on the people who I have interacted with. Let's be truthful. They are angry. They just want this thing to be done with. Let's have the election, choose a new government or whatever, elect the choose new representatives, that is, and get this thing over with. Guys, it is 12 o'clock here in the studios of 1FM 98.9. Thank you so much for joining us on the first hour of Voices. We'll take this break now for the headline news, and when we come back, we'll continue Voices right here on 1FM 98.9. Azad Gums of the People's Action Movement, he is the deputy chairman. He will be joining us at 1 o'clock instead of 12:30. So he will be on at 1 p.m. to have a conversation on what the People's Action Movement has been doing as it relates to the upcoming National Assembly elections. Let's take this break for the headline news, and we will be back.
You found the sound. 98.9. Win FM.
We now bring you the headline news. The headline news is brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, The Grange, KDP Enterprises, Carib Brewery, and the ICDF Taiwan Technical Mission.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built, non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts? It's situated at Otley's, 7 miles east of Basseterre in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodations to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020. Fax 466-8221 or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
Protect your lifestyle with Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Daily low with a low reputation and service for second to none. Securing you is our mission. People that you can trust, your business, property, we got you covered. Motor or personal, whatever it is, we got you covered. 130 years in this business, we've got you covered. For all your insurance needs, visit or call us at 465-2631 or 469-5303. Dealey Walwyn, people you can trust.
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution. We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world, whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous. You can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International, by land, sea or air, we get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises at 466-9595.
With over a century of perfection behind the Mackeson name, a smooth blend with perfect balance and richness, it's no wonder Mackeson Triple Stout has a legacy of perfection. Enjoyed the world over. Introducing our new look with the same great taste. Mackeson. All hail the king.
Please drink responsibly.
Think before you bin it. There can be some use in it. The St. Kitts and Nevis Solid Waste Management, in collaboration with Taiwan ICDF Technical Mission and the Department of Environment, presents Let's Recycle. We are encouraging all residential homes, commercial businesses, and schools to bring along your plastic bottles, metal cans, and aluminum cans ready for an opportunity to win big. From 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. every Tuesday at the following locations in St. Kitts: the Connery Roundabout, the parking lot at Buckley's in front of Best Buy, and the last Saturday of each month in Deep Bay. In Nevis, every second and fourth Friday of each month at Delta Petroleum, Ex-Petrol in Camps, Big Six in Gingerland, and Old Artisan Village in Charlestown. But wait, that's not all. 1 pound equals 1 point. So bring your recyclables and build up your points for a chance to win stainless steel thermal bottle, flatware set, and much more. To learn more about the recycling project, do visit our Facebook page at Let's Recycle in St. Kitts and Nevis, or contact us at 465-2372. The choice is yours. Save it or waste it. You are the difference. Reduce, reuse, recycle. With the Win Headline News, I am Kevon Brown.
I am Devon Cornelius.
And I am Yulana Weeks.
Making the headlines:
St. Kitts Tourism Authority appoints first Chief Marketing Officer.
Regional heads met at the 43rd CARICOM meeting in Suriname to discuss regional issues including integration and global financial challenges. Internationally, the UK Chancellor and Health Secretary have resigned from government, saying they no longer have confidence in Prime Minister Boris Johnson. Now, the details.
The St. Kitts Tourism Authority announces the appointment of Mia Lang as Chief Marketing Officer. This is a new role at the Tourism Authority, created to further strengthen the destination's presence in key international source markets. Lang will oversee the strategic direction and implementation of all global marketing and branding efforts and will manage St. Kitts' various international agencies. She will also lead the onshore public relations and marketing team in St. Kitts to ensure the seamless promotion of the island to citizens and residents. Quote, Ms. Lang brings more than 2 decades of Caribbean destination messaging and marketing experience. She has proven success in launching key advertising and branding strategies that in turn have increased tourism and tangible economic development, said Nick Menon, chairman of the board of directors of the St. Kitts Tourism Authority. Quote, Lang has also shown through key partnerships with agencies and outside data partners an understanding of establishing relevant KPIs and increasing ROI over time. We look forward to having Lang at the helm of our global marketing during our continued tourism rebound. End quote. Maya Lang's experience working within the Caribbean and truly understanding our target audience will allow her to create destination campaigns that will keep St. Kitts top of mind among travelers, added Ellison Tommy Thompson, CEO of the St. Kitts Tourism Authority. Quote, her distinctive insights and approach will bring St. Kitts to the forefront as travelers plan their long-awaited vacations, end quote. Lang will lean on her knowledge, global experience, and her passion for the tourism industry and the region to build brand awareness for the island of St. Kitts. Throughout her career, she has worked closely with destinations to create branding and external messaging with the intent to increase awareness among key audiences, in addition to navigating multiple channels, including digital, social, and traditional media to drive consumer engagement. Quote, I am eager to continue immersing myself in the island, getting to know the people and experiences while embarking on this new challenge, said Lang. Quote, St. Kitts has a strong foundation and is poised for continued growth. I look forward to showing the world the destination's exceptional offerings, end quote. Most recently, Ms. Lang served as Executive Director of Global Communications for the Bahamas Ministry of Tourism. In this role, she managed the ministry's key agencies of record, strategic planning, budget management, crisis communications, organizational messaging, and leadership of the communication teams. Lang received her MBA with a specialization in marketing and graduated magna cum laude from Lynn University in 2017. She served several roles for the Bahamas Ministry of Tourism, such as Senior Director of Global Communications, Senior Manager of Advertising and Branding, Manager of Cruise Development, Sales and Marketing Executive, and more, and worked in the Bahamas, England, Germany, France, and the United States. Under her leadership, the Bahamas Ministry of Tourism was awarded a number of top destination marketing and public relations awards.
In regional news, regional heads met at the 43rd CARICOM meeting in Suriname to discuss regional issues including integration and global financial challenges. Primetime Caribbean has the story and more.
The annual CARICOM Heads of Government meeting had a full working session in the Suriname's capital Monday after Sunday's opening ceremony in Paramaribo. Deepening cooperation, the global financial challenge and issues surrounding food security are among areas to be discussed at the summit, being attended by most heads of government except Jamaica's Andrew Holness and Dominica's Roosevelt Skerritt and Timothy Harris of St. Kitts and Nevis. The summit's chairman, President Chandrika Prasad Santoki, once again reiterated that regional cooperation is needed to tackle the food security challenges.
Although the island regions do not have abundant fertile lands, they have human capital and they have financial capital. With joint investment and by utilizing modern technology, we can guarantee food security for the Caribbean and the region. And we must see this also against the background of the invasion in Ukraine and the impact of the war to the food security. On invasion we condemn and we call for an end to this aggression. The agribusiness strategy on the portfolio of Guyana is an excellent example of a region-wide initiative for food security.
He also invited regional companies to come to Suriname and find ways to take advantage of the emerging oil sector there.
And I said it, and I repeat what I've said, and that is what has been said on the Energy, Oil and Gas Summit, which was held in Suriname last week. I welcome my Caribbean sisters and brothers to benefit from our resources and invite them to invest and contribute as contractors and subcontractors in Suriname. All you have to do, register your business at your chamber, at our Chamber of Commerce, and partner with a Surinamese company to become a local content. And I'm inviting you all to come and make good use of this opportunity.
The Prime Ministers of the Bahamas, St. Lucia and Grenada, all recently elected, are attending the summit for the first time. Grenada's Dickon Mitchell marveled at the strength of democracies in the region, while apparently taking a dig at recent problems with transitions in some major democracies, particularly the United States.
That I'm equally pleased to be sharing the stage this evening with the other newly elected heads of government of CARICOM, the Prime Minister of the Bahamas, who just went before me, and the Prime Minister of St. Lucia, who will come after me. Our presence here this evening is confirmation and testament that democracy is alive and well in our region and resident in our beautiful Caribbean community. And I dare say our transition processes seem far smoother, far swifter, and far more efficient than some of the larger nations that champion democracy.
St. Lucia's Prime Minister Sunday urged regional countries to move swiftly to create a lasting, reliable and affordable regional transportation infrastructure, warning that there can be no meaningful integration without free movement of people. Prime Minister Philip J. Pear was addressing a ceremony of the 43rd Summit of the Caribbean Community, CARICOM leaders.
We have allowed our discussions on Caribbean sea and air transport to be guided too much by external market forces rather than by the transportation needs of the people and the businesses of our region. In doing so, we have not only closed our air and sea spaces for business expansion and growth for our local investors, but we have also surrendered the future of our unification projects to the whims of service providers whose only interest is profit. To put it directly, colleagues, CARICOM needs LIATs, or CARICOM needs a better version of LIAT. Unless one of our island-owned carriers emerges as a truly regional carrier, not only in terms of countries covered, but with a philosophical commitment to making regionalism work for CARICOM citizens, then our regional aspirations will continue to be an elusive dream.
He praised the Antigua and Barbuda Prime Minister Gaston Brown for his efforts in keeping LIAT alive.
St. Lucia therefore stands willing to work with CARICOM to find solutions to our regional transportation challenges and will assist in any effort designed to finding a lasting, reliable, and sustainable airline or consortium of airlines to service the region.
Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Keith Rowley, has expressed concern over the Twin Islands Republic's crime situation and says the time has come for the country to declare violence a public health emergency. Speaking at the Piarco International Airport before leaving for Heads of Government of CARICOM meeting in Suriname, Rowley said, quote, "Every single day there is a spate of violent crime largely driven by, but not only driven by, firearms and defying logic." Rowley said that the time has come for Trinidad and Tobago to declare violence a public health emergency. The Prime Minister said the government had been considering the move prior to the COVID-19 outbreak in 2020. Trinidad and Tobago opposition, the United National Congress, has maintained that it will not support the government's move to extend the life of the Bail Amendment Act, which is due to expire in August. The position on the amendment, which seeks to deny bail for repeat violent offenders for 120 days, was indicated by former Senator Sean Sobers during the party's media conference at the opposition leader's office in Port of Spain yesterday.
And one must understand that what the government, through Minister Hines and others, they are trying to ask the opposition to do is to join them in an illegal and unconstitutional move to bring about a piece of bail legislation in this parliament this week. And we're not going to have that. We're not going to do that. We cannot do that.
Sobers suggested that the legislation was effectively deemed unconstitutional by the Landmark Court of Appeal ruling in February, in which Chief Justice Ivor Archie and two of his colleagues invalidated a segment of the Bail Act, precluding judicial officers from considering bail for persons charged with murder.
We are headed by a senior counsel. We have a battery of lawyers within the United National Congress. How are we going to join you in something that is illegal and unconstitutional?
He noted that the government had failed to bring any empirical evidence of the legislation before being a successful crime prevention tool since being introduced in 2019.
If this was in fact a working position, respectfully, then the murder rate in Trinidad and Tobago and the crime rate in Trinidad and Tobago would be quite low. But in contrast, the murder rate and the crime rate in this country continues to be exponentially high. So this theory that is peddled by the PNM does not work.
Sobers suggested that instead of introducing measures that restrict the constitutional rights of citizens, the government should be focused on developing the capacity of law enforcement agencies to detect and prosecute crimes.
If our detection rates remain abysmally low, we will continue to have emboldened criminals who will commit atrocious acts because they lack the perception that they will be caught to face even the stiffest of consequences.
This is Primetime Caribbean. We'll be back with the world outside.
We now bring you these international reports.
Two influential cabinet ministers who decided they'd had enough. Within minutes of one another, Rishi Sunak resigned as Chancellor and Sajid Javid resigned as Health Secretary. Mr Javid remained tight-lipped when he returned home yesterday evening.
I'm just going to go spend some time with my family.
But the reasons were there in black and white when the pair submitted resignation letters. The outgoing Chancellor said the public rightly expect government to be conducted properly, competently and seriously. I believe these standards are worth fighting for, and that is why I am resigning. While the outgoing Health Secretary said the British people rightly expect integrity from their government. We may not have always been popular, but we have been competent. Sadly, the public are concluding that we are now neither. Their exits, along with various junior government figures, came swiftly after Boris Johnson apologised for his handling of appointing Chris Pincher to a new government position in February. It emerged Boris Johnson had been told about a formal complaint previously made about Mr Pincher when he was a Foreign Office Minister. That was something Number 10 had previously denied.
I apologise for it. I think in hindsight it was the wrong thing to do. I apologise to everybody who's been badly affected by it. Yeah.
So can Mr Johnson survive? Perhaps unsurprisingly, the Labour leader wants him gone.
They backed him when he broke the law. They backed him when he lied. They backed him when he mocked the sacrifices of the British people. So they have been complicit as he has disgraced his office and let down his country.
Allies of the Prime Minister insist he can carry on.
I'm fully supportive of the Prime Minister. I think that he is the right man for the job. He has a very significant mandate from the British people. He won a majority of 80 only just over 2.5 years ago. And these sort of squalls happen in politics, but the best politicians carry on calmly.
For now, Boris Johnson is intent on staying put, with a new top team around him. Nadeem Zahawi will take over as Chancellor, moving on from Education Secretary. Michelle Donnellan will take over that role. And Steve Barclay is the new Health Secretary. This morning, Boris Johnson's position looks tricky, but he's previously ridden out calls to step down. He seems determined to do so again. David Wallace-Lockhart, BBC News, Westminster.
So buckle up, it could be another dramatic day here in Downing Street. Nick Eardley, our political correspondent, is with us. Right, I'm not going to ask you what's going to happen next because nobody knows really, do they? But how could this progress over the next few hours and days, Nick?
Well, there's no sign at the moment, John, that Boris Johnson is going to move out of there voluntarily. The positions that he appointed last night were all designed to be a message from him to say, I'm going nowhere, I think I can get on with running the country. But there is no doubt that this is still a huge crisis for the Prime Minister. Could there be more junior ministers who walk today? We had one resignation late last night. There are other people on resignation watch today, potentially adding to the sense of crisis in there. Tory backbenchers are extremely unhappy. They're extremely uncomfortable with what's happened over the last few days, and they're wargaming what to do next. Now, we've spoken before about the 1922 committee, the committee of Tory backbenchers. They are electing their executive within the next few days, 18 people who will decide whether to change the rules to allow another confidence vote in the Prime Minister. It's amazing to think it was only a month ago today that the last one was, well, there could be another one in the next couple of weeks.
Even before the summer recess?
Even before the summer recess. Tory rebels, the Prime Minister's critics in his own party, are increasingly confident that they have the numbers to win that executive election and to force a rule change. So this crisis is going to roll on and on and on for the next couple of weeks. There is no doubt that, again, the Prime Minister has been weakened. He defies political gravity so often, though, doesn't he? How many times on Breakfast do we talk about a crisis for Boris Johnson? In the last month alone, 40% of his MPs voted to get rid of him. His ethics advisor quit. He lost 2 major by-elections, including one of the safest seats in the country. He's had this Chris Pincher row. Now he's got 2 of his most senior cabinet ministers walking. For many Prime Ministers, it would be game over.
Even one of those.
Even one of those things would be enough to force him out. The question over the next few hours and the next few days is, can Boris Johnson do the almost unthinkable and stay in post? He certainly wants to. That's his plan. Many Tory backbenchers think differently, and they're going to try and force him out.
And today, even today, within this hours of this happening, he's got to go back down the road to Parliament. He's got Prime Minister's questions at lunchtime, and then he's got a big appearance in front of a committee as well. So he's under massive public pressure today.
It's going to be a gruelling day for the Prime Minister. You know, PMQs is always the big moment of the week where I've no doubt Keir Starmer will try and skewer the Prime Minister and say, you can no longer lead the country, it's time for a change. Watch out for friendly fire, so-called friendly fire, from his own side saying, you've lost our confidence, you need to go. And then there's the liaison committee, which is senior committee chairs this afternoon, who'll be grilling the Prime Minister as well. In some ways, it's the worst possible day for Boris Johnson. And as I say, there's also that question. There are some ministers on the junior rank, not at cabinet level, that we see walking in that door every week, but some other well-known faces who are still on resignation watch. The Prime Minister got through last night. The danger's far from over.
As the gunman fired more than 70 shots from a high-powered rifle, the crowd panicked. In the chaos of the Highland Park massacre, police say Robert Crema blended into the crowd, dressed as a woman, and fled.
Crema was dressed in woman's clothing, and investigators do believe he did this to conceal his facial tattoos and his identity and help him during the escape with the other people who were fleeing.
Those who survived the Independence Day shooting are traumatized.
Mentally exhausted, mentally shooken, anxious, scared, fearful, and enraged. This will be running through our heads for forever.
Leaving one AR-15 style assault rifle on the rooftop perch, police say, he tossed another one in his mother's car and drove to Madison, Wisconsin, then back to Illinois, where an alert driver reported the car, and police took him down with little effort. The toll from the massacre reached 7 on Tuesday after an injured victim died. 38 more are wounded. On Tuesday, prosecutors named Crema as the Highland Park killer.
Today, the Lake County State's Attorney's Office has charged Robert Crema III with 7 counts of first-degree murder for the killing spree that he has unleashed against our community. These are just the first of many charges that will be filed against Mr. Crema. I want to emphasize that. There will be more charges.
Crema led a troubled life before the attack. In April 2019, a relative called police and said Crema had tried to commit suicide a week earlier. In September of that year, a relative called police and said he had threatened to kill the entire family and had a collection of knives and swords. Police confiscated them. Then authorities say the 21-year-old amassed an arsenal, including the assault rifle he used in the attack. It was bought legally, they say. He had a second assault rifle, pistols, possibly a shotgun, and then he spent weeks planning a massacre. Vice President Kamala Harris came to Highland Park and called for a crackdown on the epidemic of American gun violence.
There is no reason that we have weapons of war on the streets of America. We need reasonable gun safety laws.
Police identified 6 people who died immediately. Catherine Goldstein, 88, Jacqueline Sundheim, 63, Stephen Strauss, 88, and Nicholas Toledo Zaragoza, 78. There were also 2 parents who left behind a 2-year-old child, Irina McCarthy, 35, and her husband, Kevin McCarthy, 37. John Hendren, Al Jazeera, Highland Park, Illinois.
You were listening to the WinFM Headline News on 98.9. Our top stories were:
St. Kitts Tourism Authority appoints first Chief Marketing Officer.
Regional heads met at the 43rd CARICOM meeting in Suriname to discuss regional issues including integration and global financial challenges. Internationally, the UK Chancellor and Health Secretary have resigned from government, saying they no longer have confidence in Prime Minister Boris Johnson.
Thank you for listening.
That was the WinFM Headline News. The Headline News is brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, The Grange, KDP Enterprises, Carib Brewery, and the ICDF Taiwan Technical Mission.
The Department of Environment and St. Kitts and Nevis Solid Waste Management, along with Taiwan ICDF Technical Mission, are working on a recycling project. Everyone may hear about recycling, but how can you do your part? You can collect the plastic and metal recyclables and bring them to 7 different locations from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. In St. Kitts, every 2nd and 4th Tuesday at Connery, every 1st and 3rd Tuesday at Buckley's, the last Saturday of each month at Deer Bay Town. In Nevis, 2nd and 4th Friday at Delta Petroleum Ex-Petrol, Big Six, and Old Artisan Village alternately. Bring recyclables to earn prizes. If you bring £1, you can get 1 point. The prizes include shopping bags, logo cups, stainless flatware sets, and stainless thermal bottles. Bring more recyclables to get larger prizes. Find more information on our Facebook page, Let's Recycle in St. Kitts and Nevis. From now on, save the future, think smart, take part.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib. It's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution. We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world, whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous. You can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International. By land, sea or air, we get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises at 466-9595.
Protect your lifestyle with Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Dealing well with a low reputation and service for second to none. Securing you is our mission. People that you can trust, your business, property, we got you covered. Motor or personal, whatever it is, we got you covered. 130 years in this business, we got you covered. For all your insurance needs, visit or call us at 465-2631 or 469-5303. Dealey Walwyn, people you can trust.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built, non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts? It's situated at Otley's, 7 miles east of Basseterre in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodations to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020. Fax 466-8221 or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is Win FM.
It's Horswood's Building Center's Switch On Electrical and Lighting Sales Event, happening now until July 31st at Horswood's Building and Nevis Center. Our electricals and lighting departments will be switched on with 25% off. That's right, 25% off electricals and lighting products, happening now until July 31st. 25% off on all electricals and lighting products at Horswood's Building Centers on St. Kitts and Nevis. Switch on the deals, switch on the quality products, switch on the savings, and switch on 25% off on all electricals and lighting products today. Horswood's Building and Nevis Centers. We've got the savings switched on. Terms and conditions apply. See store for details.
Welcome back to Voices right here on FM 98.9. It is 12:40. We're gonna have Mr. Azad Gums at around 1 o'clock, and of course we'll be talking about some of the activities that the People's Action Movement have, and an update on the campaign trail and what they have been doing in the lead up to the National Assembly elections, which are expected to be called very soon. It's 12:40, and for the next 20 minutes, we are going to take some phone calls following up or continuing from our conversation before the headline news. The number to call is 662-0989. That is 662-0989. Remember, we are also live on social media, so you can leave your comment or your suggestions on our live streams. You're on Facebook as well as on YouTube. And of course, our WhatsApp, which is 662-2204. That is 662-2204. Welcome back to Voices right here on WinFM 98.9. Now, for those of you who were unable to join us for the first hour, we were commenting on the current climate and, all of the, well, not all of the issues, but some of the issues that have been raised by a number of, by the different political parties or by people generally in terms of what is happening in the country
the lead up into the election, some of the issues, and basically that there is this anxiety. People want to know when is the election, have the election, get it over with. We have a caller on the line, so let's head to the phone lines and take this call. Okay, we seem to have lost that caller. Please call us back at 662. Okay, we seem to have lost that caller. Please call us back at 662-2204. That is 662-2204. Now, earlier I wanted to share with you, or let me say remind you, because I think most of you have seen it before or have heard it before, but the code of conduct for the political process, what the candidates and their supporters, associates should be following or should adhere to. And for the most part, I after listening to some people, I wouldn't say they necessarily are following that, because there's some things in it that speak to, how you conduct yourself. And I find that there's sometimes there seems to be an issue where whenever you're in this conversation, people, they don't know how to just speak to the issues. They feel that they should get personal and talk about personalities, which is totally unnecessary. Totally unnecessary. But some would make the argument that this is what it has come to, this is how it is. But the change has to start with us. We want to say, the politicians have to make the change. We're the ones who would fuel these conversations. No, this speaks to candidates for the election, their associates and supporters. It says candidates in any general election need to justify their suitability by presenting proposals for the betterment of St. Kitts and Nevis, its people and land, and its interaction with the Caribbean region and the world. The emphasis should be on issues rather than personalities. The emphasis should be on issues rather than personalities. Candidates must also avoid defamation of character of their opponents, their families, and supporters. And I think this is one thing that we don't know how to run away from. We believe that when we are on the campaign trail, it does good or it benefits us to talk about people's family, to talk about what they've done in the past, to bring up something that I would say is totally irrelevant, instead of focusing on the issue and calling out that person on that issue, where it may be a case of whereby they came and they promised to deliver in education or health or crime or whatever. They promised to deliver change in a particular area. And instead you come and highlight the shortcomings of that individual in that specific area. You come and you talk about something that I say totally irrelevant. Totally irrelevant. This is asking us to, make the emphasis, make it about the issues rather than personalities. Refrain from the defamation of character of the opponents, their families, their supporters. No abusive attacks should be directed to campaigners or their family members for reason of their race, social origins and background, education, gender, religion, or any other reason. Candidates must seek to be truthful about the past and present socio-economic state of St. Kitts and Nevis. Candidates must avoid raising unfulfillable expectations and making unrealistic promises. At times you find that people who are seeking to enter office will come and make some, and even those who are already in office trying to get re-elected would come and make some wild, crazy promise about what they're going to do, and they have not even, assessed the situation to see if really and truly they can. And sometimes you find that they would make these promises, but when they get into office, they can't deliver because they don't know, or they did not know the state of affairs. They did not know, what was in place. And so they've made this unrealistic and wild promise. And because of that, they are unable to deliver on their promises. It says, care must be taken not to incite sectional hostility or violence, to further demonstrate political maturity and foster unity among the people. Political parties not forming the government should appeal to the nation via the media to respect and acknowledge the government formed by the due process of the Constitution of the Federation. Likewise, government ministers must also respect themselves and their opponents, since respect is earned and not an entitlement. Campaign slogans and the like affixed to walls, poles, etc. should be such as are easily removable. When campaigning ends, special care should be taken to avoid defacing historic sites. No one shall prevent the distribution of leaflets and the display of posters of other parties and candidates, and shall not deface or destroy the posters of others. This too is a big thing, where we find that people are going around and tearing down the posters and slogans and all of that for other parties. Man, just go around and put up your poster and tell the people why they should vote for you. You going around tearing down the posters, it just looks petty and childish, if you ask me, you know. Electoral regulations should be observed and not circumvented. Every person is entitled to vote. Every person entitled to vote, must be able to do so freely. Victimization of persons, interference with employment rights, intimidation, bribery, and enticement with favors are gravely wrong. Persons entitled to express their political views without fear of persecution or victimization. It says bribery of voters is a criminal offense. Avoid language that is abusive, indecent, and inflammatory. Respect the freedom of the press. Observe all public health requirements, including the COVID-19 health protocols, during the electoral process. But for this one, the victimization of persons, interference with employment rights, intimidation, bribery, and enticement with favors are gravely wrong. Persons are entitled to express their political views without fear of persecution or victimization. Bribery of voters is a criminal offense. There is always this argument of how do you prove bribery? How do you prove that this person was bribed? How do you prove that this person was bribed to vote in for this particular candidate or this party? That is always the question. Well, how do you prove it? How do you prove it? It is 10 minutes to the hour. We'll take a short break to give a shout out to our sponsors, and when we come back, we'll continue Voices right here on WinFM 98.9. Let's take this break and we'll be right back.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Here are your Husbands Value Mart IGA Value Club Blue Tag Special.
Rolling June 30th to July 13.
Bertolli pasta sauce, $13.99 each. Bugles, Chex Mix, Gardettos, $9.99. Snuggle Fabric Softener, $17.99. Quaker Granola Bars, $11.99. Totina's Pizza Rolls, $19.99. And Tony's Pizzas, $15.49. And now our very low weekly
Value deals. Pearl Pancake Syrup, $30.99. Pearl Pancake Mix, $9.99. Paste Salsa and Picante Sauces, $10.49. Colgate Toothpaste and Toothbrushes, $5.99. Essential Everyday Ketchup, $4.49. Essential Everyday Pasta, $4.49. Shop smart, shop Value Mart. Tell them in Spanish.
Sea listo y haga sus compras aquí a
Value Mart.
Welcome back to Voices right here on WinFM 98.9. I'm your host for today, Devon Cornelius. We have the Deputy Chairman of the People's Action Movement, Mr. Azad Gums. He will be joining us very shortly. We have him, he's not in the studio today, but he is joining us via Zoom, and we should be speaking with Azad very shortly. Good afternoon, Azad. Can you hear me?
Good afternoon, Devon. I can hear you well. How are you?
Not bad at all, and thank you so much for joining the program today. We'll go right up until 1:30, and as I said to the listeners earlier, of course, we'll be having a conversation centered around the People's Action Movement and the issues for the upcoming general elections, the National Assembly elections. Now, again, Azad, thank you so much for coming, and I think we're going to have a very good conversation this afternoon.
Well, thank you for inviting me, Devon, and thank you for making WinFM available to the People's Action Movement.
Awesome. Now, as I was discussing earlier, the big issue right now, Azad, is the upcoming general elections. The People's Action Movement and other parties have been preparing themselves for the election. And generally, the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, they are anxious. They want to know, when will the Prime Minister make the announcement for the election day? When will he make the announcement? Nomination day, election day. I think it is coming from a position of people just wanting to know so that we can get this thing over with. We choose the elected representatives, they form the government, and we get out of campaign mode and we go back to normal. There was a statement on the Facebook page, the social media handles of the People's Action Movement, where the leader, Mr. Sean Richards, the Honorable Sean Richards, called on Prime Minister Harris to announce the election date. And if he does not do that, then Mr. Richards would take up the initiative. In what capacity would or what effect do you think it would have, or what message would that send?
Well, I think first and foremost, let me say that the Honorable Sean Richards is the leader of the People's Action Movement, and as you can see, we have the People's Action Movement holding 4 seats in Parliament. The People's Action Movement, through our leader Sean Richards, have heard the cry of the nation, as you indicated rightfully so, Devon. If you were to conduct a poll and ask persons whether or not they are ready for the bell to be rung, I could guarantee you that at least 8 out of 10 persons in St. Kitts and Nevis, they're ready for the election to be called. And so the Honorable Sean Richards, being the leader that he is, sensitizing with the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, is symbolically ringing the bell, if needs be, to show that he's a man who understands the people and who sympathizes with the people, and who too share the same concern that the bell ought to be rung, that the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, that we are ready to hear the election. The People's Action Movement is ready to contest the election. And I think that the other parties are equally ready to contest the election as well, Devon. And I think that it is time for us I think it's time for the Prime Minister. We understand that he has a constitutional mandate up to August 8th. But if you are to listen to the majority of the people on the ground, I think most of us are ready for the bell to be rung and for elections to be had.
Absolutely. I believe that. As I said, I was saying earlier, Yolanda and I, we were on the streets of Bastia on last week, Monday. And almost everybody who we talked to, they were like, boy, we're just waiting for the election date, regardless of their political persuasion or affiliation. They just wanted to know. They just want to know, when are we going to have nomination day and when we're going to go to the polls. But Azad, go ahead.
And again, Devon, our leader understands that as well. And because he understands that, is the reason why you see on the social media of the ringing of him ringing the bell to symbolize to him to the people of Saint Kitts and Nevis that he is with the people of Saint Kitts and Nevis. He understands the people of Saint Kitts and Nevis because he's on the ground, he's canvassing, he's speaking to the people, and he's aware of what the people of Saint Kitts and Nevis want.
Right. Now, in your capacity as the deputy chairman of the People's Action Movement, can you give me an update in terms of what has been happening in the campaign, the house to house, and what I think is most critical, list management?
Well, we continue to do our canvassing. We continue to monitor the lists. If you look at our Facebook page, you would see some pictures being posted as the various candidates meet house to house, meet their constituents. Of course, we still monitor the list. We still look at what is happening because we realize that there are some concerns made by persons within the general public. Of course, those concerns are still um, what I want to say is that those concerns have been brought to us. Those concerns are being discussed. And of course, we are just watching and monitoring as it goes to ensure that we have a fair and just election.
All right, thank you so much, Azad. But what about whenever you're doing the house to house throughout the different constituencies, what would you say are some of the major issues that you're getting from the people?
Well, I think some of the major issues are the unemployment. I think a lot of persons, when it comes to youth, they're looking for jobs. Another concern would be the inflation. Of course, we realize that the cost of living has increased. We realize that is a factor of that is a cause due to more than one factor. We realize that with the war in Ukraine, Russia, that has devastated um, lives and livelihoods, so to speak, where you see that the gas prices have doubled. So really, it's unemployment and it's inflation. I would say those are some of the main issues right now when you talk to persons on the ground.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, because we've been doing our conversations as well, and as I said when we were out, these were some of the concerns raised by different people. Apart from the announcement of the election nomination day to get this thing over with, those were some of the other concerns or issues raised by people. But for me, Azad, I anticipate. Well, before I get to that, I want to say that it is my hope that this election is about the issues. I was just reading the code of conduct for the political process, and
Yes.
it emphasized, and I think that was signed by the Honorable Sean Richards and by the other parties as well, and it was emphasized that the emphasis or the focus should be on the issues rather than personalities. I think when that is the focus, we can get more, or we would get more out of our elected representatives. And the issues that we face in the country, I think, would be better addressed, better, attend to, if that was the case.
Definitely. But you've seen, Devon, that our political leader, every day during, I think it's 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, if you check his Facebook Live, he comes on live to speak to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis on various issues. So he has taken a stance where he has rolled out every day an issue to be tackled. And that is something that he has put forward. Um, if you listen to his live every day, you hear him talk about a different issue, and this is what the People's Action Movement is focusing its campaign on. not just talking about things of the past, but issues in which needs to be addressed.
Mm-hmm. As that is 4 minutes past the hour, it's a bit late for the ads, but we'll take a short break to give a shout out to our sponsors, and when we come back, we'll continue Voices right here on WinFM 98.9.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is Win FM.
It's Horseman's Building Center's Switch On Electrical and Lighting Sales Event happening now until July 31st at Horseman's Building and Nevis Center. Our electricals and lighting departments will be switched on with 25% off. That's right, 25% off electricals and lighting products happening now until July 31st. 25% off on all electricals and lighting products at Horseman's Building Centers on St. Kitts and Nevis. Switch on the deals, switch on the quality products, switch on the savings, and switch on 25% off on all electricals and lighting products today. Horsewood's Building and Nevis Centers. We've got the savings switched on. Terms and conditions apply. See store for details.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are solely those of the participant or caller and do not reflect the views of WinFM 98.9. WinFM reserves the right to disconnect any caller who infringes the law or offends the right of any person. The station will also refuse to take any call from any person who, in WinFM's considered opinion, is likely to expose the station to liability for statements made on the air. Welcome back to Voices right here on WinFM 98.9. I'm your host for today, Devon Cornelius. Thank you so much for joining us on the program today. For those of you who are just tuning in, we have Mr. Azad Gums of the People's Action Movement. He is the party's deputy chairman, and today Mr. Gums is here to update the listening audience on some of the activities and basically what the People's Action Movement has been doing as it relates to the upcoming general elections. What can we expect from PAM, and some of the activities and events that they have planned. You guys know we are in campaign mode. All the political parties, their candidates are vying. Everybody wants to win. Everybody wants to get into office. Everybody wants to get in there to implement their plans and programs for, I would say, the betterment of the country. And the People's Action Movement, they're here today to tell us what they have been doing. Now, Azad, I wanted to touch again on list management, because we've been talking with some people, and this seems to be a major concern. People are claiming that there seems to be some discrepancies going on as it relates to the voters list, and so you find that members of the People's Action Movement, the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party, they have been monitoring their list. They've been doing their work to make sure that the list is accurate. What are some of the challenges that PAM is facing as it relates to that?
Well, I go based on perhaps my constituency 4. I mean, we look at the list very carefully. I can't say right now that there are any challenges as it relates to the list. We've been doing what we do all the time, monitor if there are need for objection, to have those persons objected to attend the objection hearings, to have the necessary affidavits. So at this point in time, I do not see anything out of the ordinary at this point in time.
All right, thank you so much for that, Azad. What about some of the activities? What can the people expect from PAM over the next?
Well, Devon, I'm glad that you say that, because just this evening at 7 p.m. we have our campaign liftoff. Our campaign liftoff will feature both international and local artists in addition to our candidates. Our candidates will be coming out, they'll be saying specifically what their plans are for St. Kitts and Nevis, and you'll get an opportunity to hear from our political leader, the next Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, the Honorable Sean Richards. That is going to be in front of Simaco, Central Street. And so all preparations are being placed there. It's going to be a very big event, and we are welcoming all, and we are inviting all to come out tonight at 7 p.m. 7 p.m. for a massive campaign liftoff where we have, as I said before, international and local acts.
All right, thank you so much, Azad. I wanted to touch on the plans and programs that PAM intends to implement should they assume office following the next election. When will PAM launch its manifesto, and what are some of the areas?
You heard me before speak about
Yes.
the youth agenda.
Yes.
And of course, the party is very concerned about young people, and the party wants to ensure that young people are put at the focus of its plans. And so what has been happening is that through myself, I have been going to various youth groups and getting their ideas based on the youth agenda, what they want to see in it. That is ongoing. Of course, we are hoping to plan a youth consultation where we invite youth groups again for one final look at the youth agenda so they could give their feedback. And then after that, we are hoping to have a big reveal of the youth agenda, and that would be in the form of the youth manifesto.
Mm-hmm.
Again, our party still is working on its manifesto. Of course, you'll have heard our party leader make mention of some of the things he wants touched, and you'll have heard about the Dream Fund, where it would be $100 million. And that is a fund where small businesses would be able to capitalize between $20,000 to $200,000, and it's a grant. You heard about harnessing the talent here in St. Kitts and Nevis. We want to ensure that there is that the orange economy is up and booming. We want to establish a creative industry and support the building of a state-of-the-art music academy where our young people can pursue their dreams and develop their lives and social conditions. The Academy Devon will harness untapped talent and have several and showcase or feature several areas. We want the Academy to focus training as it relates to music, performance, songwriting, sound engineering. We want to ensure that stage management is a part of it, lighting, acting, directing, dancing, and the like, Devon. You also heard our political leaders speak about the need for us to focus on agriculture, because we believe that agriculture is something that is important. We recognize COVID-19 and its impact. We recognize what the impact of the war has on St. Kitts and Nevis. And so we want to ensure that we are able to grow the food that we need here in St. Kitts and Nevis. And so we want to focus on agriculture and to ensure that that is given its rightful focus. Again, we heard that persons are speaking about the conditions when it comes to our healthcare system. And of course, we want to focus on that. And something that has been part of the People's Action Movement's agenda is a national health insurance plan. And that is something that we want to ensure comes into fruition when the People's Action Movement forms the next government.
Earlier, you spoke about PAM's engagement with the young people, particularly youth groups. I know recently you were engaged with SCNIPA, the Sinkis National Youth Parliament Association. In terms of that engagement and other engagements, how has the response been?
The responses have been quite good, to be honest. Number of the young persons have asked about or have shown concern as it relates to, I think, the Dream Fund. The Dream Fund is something that they really liked. Questions that they would have asked is whether or not there would be some sort of interest rate attached to the fund. And there's no interest rate attached to the fund. It's actually a grant. And so persons would be able to develop their businesses through it.
All right. So go ahead.
Well. But the responses, Devon, have been quite well.
Awesome. And I when you spoke about the Dream Fund, I just like the name of it. Firstly, I like the name of it. It says a lot. Of course, if you have a lot of young entrepreneurs here in Sinkis and Nevis that, they're really trying to push their business, they're really trying to push their company, really trying to get things done, but it's the lift off that they need. It is that extra push, whether it is financial support or training and development, because let's be frank, you do have some people who are entrepreneurs and they do for their betterment need some training and all of that. But I think a program that would be well received. As it is 16 minutes past the hour of 1. We'll take a few calls to hear from the listening audience, their views, for them to comment on what we've been talking about thus far and some of the other issues as it relates to the upcoming general elections. For those of you who are just joining the program, we are on with Mr. Azad Gums, the Deputy Chairman of the People's Action Movement. And today, Azad and I, we are talking about the activities, the events, and some of the issues that the People's Action Movement intends to tackle in this upcoming election. We don't know the date for the election, and calls have been made, not just by the different parties, but by the ordinary citizens, for the Prime Minister to announce the election date. Some have said, how dare you ask the Prime Minister what the date is. For me, Azad, and this is perhaps a conversation for another time, but for me, there needs to be a set election date. But we await from the Prime Minister when the announcement, we anticipate the announcement. We predict that it may be soon because, time is running out. Azad will take a break to recognize our sponsors, and when we come back, we'll continue Voices right here on Win FM 98.9. Let's take this break, and we'll be right back.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9 Win FM.
It's that time of the year again. The time when Horswood Furniture and Appliances gives away millions in cash back for free groceries with every FlexPlay purchase. Never-ending cash back for the past 25 years. SL Horswood and Company Limited. Horswood Furniture and Appliances Showroom. Ashley Furniture Home Store in collaboration with Value Mart IGA has given customers millions of dollars in cash back for free groceries with every higher purchase in their never-ending cash back. Yes, the Horswood's cash back free groceries annual program and promotion is the biggest and longest running of its kind in the Federation. Come today and get cashback coupons for absolutely free groceries in the never-ending cashback promotion. Yes, happening now. Get cashback coupons for absolutely free groceries with every higher purchase. The never-ending cashback is back at Horswood's Furniture and Appliances and Ashley Home Store, where you get cashback coupons for free groceries with every FlexPay purchase. Never-ending savings, never-ending discounts, never-ending quality and service. It's the never-ending cashback. Don't miss it. Terms and conditions apply.
The views and opinions expressed in this program are solely those of the participant or caller and do not reflect the views of WinFM 98.9. WinFM reserves the right to disconnect any caller who infringes the law or offends the right of any person. The station will also refuse to take any call from any person who, in WinFM's considered opinion, is likely to expose the station to liability for statements made on the air. Welcome back to Voices. We are here with Mr. Azad Gums, the Deputy Chairman of the People's Action Movement, and we're here to talk about some of the issues that the People's Action Movement intends to tackle in this upcoming election. Azad, you were able to use the opportunity to speak to some of the activities and events that the party has planned, and we have about 10 minutes left before we wrap up the program today. The phone lines are open and we're taking your calls at 662-0989. That is 662-0989. 662-0989. Of course, we're live on Facebook and YouTube, and you can also send us your questions, or you can participate via the WhatsApp number, which is 662-2204. But the calling number is 662-0989. Azad, is there anything else that you wanted to bring to the fore for the good listeners?
Yes, well, I know you asked about some of the ideas that the People's Action Movement have. Have you listened to the live stream that our political leader has been having?
I did not get an opportunity to listen in its entirety, so I don't want to say yes and I don't want to say no.
Okay, well, one of the things I know, I spoke about the agriculture and the People's Action Movement focusing on agriculture. One of the things he will have spoken about is a turnkey farming program that would identify persons and provide them with land, fencing, and seeds. They would get the opportunity to be trained how to use equipment and given adequate support. And that is one of the policies coming out from the People's Action Movement, because we want to empower our people by helping them secure the nation's food. So that is one thing that we are focusing on, is actually a turnkey farming program. We want to use modern technology to improve greater yields, including the creation of greenhouses. We want to use technology to manage farms and influence production and output. We want to use technology for yield management and matching opportunities with vendors such as hotels and supermarkets, as well as the external markets. So we want to establish, of course, we want to do that also by teaching agricultural science in schools, and we want to make sure that there is a national food production inventory. So we would undertake an urgent assessment with the help of experts and field management technology to determine the type of food that St. Kitts and Nevis farmers can produce cost effectively at a desired level. We would develop a program to train the new farmers in new and scientific agricultural practices, provide incentives to farmers, including access to small credit, reducing duties on farm input elements, cutting water rates to help develop and grow local farms. We also would help develop crop insurance scheme to protect farmers against the losses from disasters like hurricane and flood. We want to set up a farmers marketing agency to ensure a ready market for all farmers' produce to help negotiate and coordinate international and domestic sales with a focus on the tourism sector. We want to support irrigation techniques to ensure crops get the needed amount of water. So all of this we want to make sure happens under PAM CCM administration because as again we realize the importance of food security, we recognize the importance of the farming industry, the agricultural industry, and we don't want this industry to be left behind. We've already done well in tourism. We want to make sure that agriculture does equally as well under a one movement government.
All right, thank you so much for that, Azad. I do take the view that, you know, our focus and COVID-19 has really taught us a lot because, of course, we are a tourism-dependent nation. As a matter of fact, the entire Caribbean depends on tourism. That's our hot bread and butter. And I think COVID-19 has taught us a lot in the sense that we ought to divert or shift our focus from just, focusing on tourism or trying to invest in tourism. But there's so many other areas that I think we are not focusing on, that we are not paying attention to. And I do believe that agriculture is one of them that we really have to focus on, invest some more money. And I always question why, whenever we have budget, whether it be the Team Unity government or the previous administration or even in Nevis, agriculture always gets the least amount of support for them to implement their programs. But I really think the focus needs to shift.
In fact, one of the candidates on our team is a farmer, and so we understand the importance of farming. Another thing that we want to do as the People's Action Movement, and one of the things our political leader would have touched, is that we want to implement a constituency development fund, which would provide an equitable distribution of a pool of funds to all MPs to pursue projects in their constituency. And of course, this fund would help to enhance the constituency service. We realize that currently the MPs have what is called the constituency allowance, but the allowance as it is insignificant if it is to really help the constituents. So what the People's Action Movement administration with CCM, one of the focus is to develop a constituency development fund. So all MPs, regardless of the political party they belong to, once they're elected by the people, they can get their allocation to assist within their constituencies.
Awesome. I love that. Azad, we are basically out of time. It's 1:28, just 2 minutes before we wrap up this program. Any last words for the listeners today?
Of course, Devon, I want to say thank you again for the invitation. I also want to invite persons out to this evening, 7 o'clock. Don't be late. It promises to be great. We have our campaign liftoff. The People's Action Movement is ready. We are ready. And our political leader is ready to take the country forward. He's ready to be the next Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis. And we just encourage persons to come out this evening, hear from our candidates, hear from our political leader, and see that the People's Action Movement with the CCM is indeed ready to take the leadership of St. Kitts and Nevis whenever the election is called.
All right, thank you so much, Azad, and thank you for accepting the invitation to join me right here on Voices today. Until next time, stay safe. I wish you and the People's Action Movement the very best in this upcoming elections. Take care. All right, that was just Mr. Azad Gums of the People's Action Movement. He's the party's deputy chairman And for those of you who joined us late, we were talking about some of the issues that they intend to tackle in the upcoming election. Of course, other activities and events that they have planned. I just want to use this last minute to make a plea to the audience, and just to use this platform to encourage you to be a part of this, what I think is really heart-touching and moving, and I love every bit of it. So a GoFundMe was organized for, I'm not certain of her age, but a little girl by the name of Bria Arthurton, medical expense, for a goal of $20,000 which is about in the region of 50,000 EC dollars. It was organized by, you guys know, social media personality Kyle Marshall, and I'm not sure of his real name, but Travi Dunn on social media. I just want to use his platform to encourage each and every one of you to donate and support this drive, and to do your part into saving this little girl's life. And I do believe that, you know, people deserve second chances. That's the hashtag that they've been using for this, second chances. It could have been any one of us. It could have been our nieces and our sister, our daughters, you name it. It could have been anyone. And so I want to use this platform to say a heartfelt thank you to Kyle Marshall and Travi Dunn for spearheading this initiative. It is heart-touching, and I love the fact that, you know, in a serious time such as this, our people can come together to achieve one purpose. I just did a check, and to date, they've raised about $37,597 US. That's $37,597. I'm pulling up my calculator now, and if you multiply that by 2.70, which would be the exchange rate, that is 101,511. So over $100,000. The people of St. Kitts and Nevis are strong, resilient people, and I think Bria and her family, they are appreciative of this, and I want to give a special shout out to the organizers, Travi Dunn and Kyle Marshall. You guys have done well. Kudos to you, and kudos to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis for coming together to help this young girl, to help this little child, to help her and her family during this very serious time. We all know whenever it comes to, you know, medical expenses, we know how exorbitant the bill can be, how stressful it can be, because not everybody, you know, would have medical insurance or the money to pay for some of these medical expenses. And to see how our people can come together and raise over 100,000 EC dollars in about a week's time is a true testament of who we are as a people. We may have our differences, we may have our different views, but one thing I can say is that whenever we come together and we work together, we achieve our goal. So again, special shout out to the organizers, and special shout out and kudos to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis for lending your part, for donating, for contributing to this cause. Second chances. This has been another edition of Voices right here on WinFM 98.9. Thank you so much for joining me on the program today. It is 1:33. We're over the time. I just want to give you the lineup for today. So we have coming up right now, Working for You. And of course, at 3 p.m., we have Conscious Business with DJ Coffee. And of course, at 6 p.m., we have the Daily Sports and Newscast. This has been another edition of Voices right here on WinFM 98.9. I've been your host, Devon Cornelius. You guys stay safe.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are solely those of the participant or caller and do not reflect the views of WinFM 98.9. WinFM reserves the right to disconnect any caller who infringes the law or offends the right of any person. The station will also refuse to take any call from any person who, in WinFM's considered opinion, is likely to expose the station to liability for statements made on the air.